Now, we've heard from a co-op, a city, a nonprofit, and our last speaker, Bill Shilito, will talk about, will talk about his company, for-profit company, which is North Carolina Wireless, LLC. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Drew. I'll let the expert get it up, this next PowerPoint presentation up. When this committee first approached me, and Jane was on that call when they invited me, she said, we're looking for a dynamic speaker who can come and talk about what a wireless internet service provider is, have the audience go away knowing what it is and being very excited about that potential. And she said, unfortunately, he's not available. So she said, can you come? And I said, I would be glad to. So thank you for just hanging in there with us. This is an exciting program. This is my first visit to the Broadband Summit. I have learned that it is a valuable experience. This will not be my last summit, Jane. So thank you for encouraging me to be here and inviting me to be here. So North Carolina Wireless is an internet service provider in Hickory, North Carolina, a small community in western North Carolina. The idea is that we're a great piece of the puzzle where no one has found the solution and can be everything to everybody at this point. So a wireless internet service provider is one of those ways that can help fill the void. So I think it's worthwhile starting out what a wireless internet service, everybody know what a wireless internet service provider is, a WISP? Most of us do at this point. It is fixed wireless. It's not a cell phone company. The key difference is that all of our customers have a small CPE device on their home or their business. It gives them the transmit power back to our access point. Our access points are all terrestrial based, and that way we get our ping times low, we get our jitter very tight, and we can offer relevant service to the cable companies. We have equipment now that can offer gigabit services as well. So we're not Wi-Fi, and so when municipalities or other organizations thinking about Wi-Fi in their downtown, the issue with there is our small handheld devices just don't have the transmit power to get back. So you'll see a signal, but you can't communicate with it, and that creates frustration, and it adds to the confusion about what Wi-Fi is and what it isn't, and what should work and what shouldn't. So we compete with the DSLs, the fiber companies. We can provide services at all those levels. We're just not a cell phone company. So I want to give you a couple examples, and I believe in this public-private partnership. It does work, and I have multiple examples. I brought two of those with me. Avery County is a very rural county in northern North Carolina, almost on the Virginia line. It is a population of 17,700. They had promises from the cable companies and the CLEC there for many, many years. Even when those organizations got some fairly large funds, they did not build out beyond the city or the townships, and left a lot of people without service. So they were operating with the cell phones, and they were operating with their satellite connections. All of those folks had data caps that they were facing and running into every day. And so one movie would eliminate their data cap or cap them out for additional charges, or slow them down to dial-up speed, which are just as frustrating and worse in most cases.
And it's mountainous.
It is very mountainous in that region, very mountainous, and so when you don't plan to hit rock, you know you're going to hit rock in Avery County. It's just a fact of life. If you're going to bury stuff, you're going to dig through a lot of rock. So municipalities and counties, in this case, there are as many people in Avery County outside of the incorporated area as there are inside the incorporated area, maybe more. And so the county speaks for the citizens of Avery County more than anybody else does. So the city leaders, the managers, the county commissioners, the Economic Development Commission, all those folks played a role in this partnership when they asked us to come be a part of it. You have assets as municipalities and counties and parishes. You have assets. Be willing to share those at reasonable rates. So off an access point, if I have 10 customers at $50 or $60 a month, you can see the economics are not the same as they are for a cell phone company. They're just different for a wireless internet service provider. I'm happy to have 10 or 15 customers off an access point if the only cost I have is hanging the equipment. at this time and taking that risk. If you reduce the risk because you've got a public safety tower or another elevated asset that you'll share with me at a very reasonable rate, and what we have with Avery County is no charge until I reach 10 customers, and then I would share 10% of the revenue with them. So we're in that stage with them. It is our fastest growing area for residential service. We focus primarily on business, but it's our fastest growing area for residential service. They now have about 70 homes that are connected in just a little over a year that had only satellite service before or cell phone service. City of Claremont is my next public-private partnership. A little municipality much closer to where I live. They have water towers they shared with us and allowed us to put service on those for an industrial park that was beginning to build out, but not enough people there yet or enough businesses there yet to attract the cable companies or the CLEC to build any fiber to them. So they gave us access to it, so now we can offer 50, 100 meg, we can offer gigabit service if somebody moves into that industrial park and wants that service, we can provide it to them in a meaningful way. So, co-opetition. We're in that era. We are competing with our fellow providers, but we also have to cooperate with them in just many ways. And so they know us, we know them. We'll take their customers if they're not satisfied. And many of the slides you've seen, this 96% satisfaction, I put that up there on purpose for the fact that we're a local company. We survey our customers on an annual basis. Are you satisfied? Are you very satisfied? Are you dissatisfied? 96% of our customers tell us they're very satisfied with us, satisfied or very satisfied with us. That's because we're local, that's because we're responsive, and that's because when they call us, they can talk to somebody who's going to tell them more than just reboot your router. And then call us when you accomplish that. So Den Drive is an example of this co-opetition. The cable company there had said, we're not coming to your neighborhood. 17 houses in this small neighborhood. We're not coming to your neighborhood. You're off an off-beaten street. Beautiful homes there, but we're just not coming there. The CLEC said, we're not coming there. We won't even quote you a price to bring you a broadband connection in there. So what I did is I worked with the charter cable company, the local cable company, found the house that was the end of their fiber offering. I asked the family there, would you allow your house to be an access point because I can see the next road over with a wireless connection from the roof of your house. If I put a small pole up there, I can make a mini access point in another community. And now that community now has broadband plans in the 20, 30, 50 meg plans through that cable connection that we're sharing and cooperating with. The cable company has a higher paying customer than they had before, and now additional 17 homes has access to broadband in that small area. So that's the co-opetition that can happen. So lessons learned, public-private partnerships work. It has to work, but keep it simple. Don't confuse me. If you're a municipality or you're a government agency, don't confuse me with you doing it or I'm doing it. Let me know what your plan is. If you want to do it like Wilson has, I think that's great because the citizens deserve this broadband service. But if you want us to come in and you want us to invest, tell us what our role is going to be. So that means that somebody has to have a plan. Somebody has to have thought about what it is that you're going to do in your municipality, your county, or your parish, and then communicate that to the people who can then provide the service. Then you'll find people willing to invest in your community, in your area, and your neighborhood. Those are the lessons that I've learned. You'll need a champion. When I go to Avery County, it's 3 counties away from where I live normally. I don't have a physical presence there, so I work with people up there, and I do have a champion up there, and it's excellent. But what I discovered is if I do a little bit of advertising, I might get 3 phone calls. So I can spend $500 in the local newspaper, I'll get 3 calls. The Economic Development Commission officer writes 1 article in a paper that gets published, I get 30 or 40 calls. It's that trust factor and that partnership that you have to be willing to do for each other that will make it work and make it satisfactory and get those people to adopt it and trust you as not just another outsider. Trust is a big factor. Give your entrepreneurs a chance to have somebody that they can communicate with and follow up with. I say that knowing that every municipality has city councilmen. I know every county has county commissioners, and there are election cycles. But what's stable is normally your administrators, get them to be on board, push them as your elected officials, and then ask them to be the administrators of that, so we have somebody to go to and talk to. That is my discussion today, and I'll turn it back over to Drew.
Thanks very much. All right, we can go for about 5 minutes at most here, Q&A. Let's go ahead and turn over to the audience. Galen.
First question, Shilito, what is the bandwidth, or what is the bandwidth you're using?
Galen, I'm glad you asked that question. When I started the business in 2003, I was buying as my upstream 3 T1s, and I was paying $600 per month for a T1. One T1, 1.5 meg up and down low speed, buying 3 of those, and I was fractionalizing those out in 2003. That was the going rate in Hickory, North Carolina, in that area. So my simple business proposition was, I'll double your speed, I'll cut your price in half, and I'll provide you with excellent service. I had many professional offices and builders to take that, and so most of my customers early on were professional offices and businesses. Now I've had 2 fiber connections to the building that I operate my network operations center out of. One is the cable company, is an upstream provider for me, and I have a local provider called Broadband that competes with them. And because I have a competitor in there, my cost of my fiber connection now is 1/3 of what it was in my first contract with them. So excellent question.
What's your spectrum that you're using to broadcast, or to?
I use unlicensed frequencies primarily because it's the lowest cost. I use 900 megahertz, 2.4 megahertz, and 5 gigahertz megahertz. What's hammering me now on the 900, which gives me the best foliage coverage or the best penetration of foliage, is the smart grid. So I have this beautiful frequency that I could use and can reach out there and penetrate, but with the electric companies rolling out the smart grid, it's killing me, and I'm having to back off the 900. I'm primarily just using 2, 4, and 5 gigahertz at this point. Thank you.
Good question. Go ahead and get your question. Yeah, you.
This is a curiosity, Taylor. You mentioned that you used, that you were able to get your line of sight relay, point, with a homeowner there, someone there.
Yes.
I'm just curious, under what sort of agreement did, sort of how did you do that? How do you?
With the county, the way I did it with the county?
I mean, well, I meant more along the lines of, do you get some sort of, where they grant you something fairly formally like an easement, or just so long as they like you, they'll hang it on their, I'm just curious how you made that.
It's much like the Dish folks at DirecTV. They sign an agreement with me to I provide service. They'll pay me on a monthly basis. Sometimes I'll charge an install fee. Most of the times I don't, because that reduces the barrier. I go put a small piece of equipment on their house. They understand that. I explain that to them before I ever come out. I got to put a small CPU on the external of your house. I'll run a Cat5 cable down. I'll give you one Ethernet handoff. You can plug it into a computer, or you can plug it into a wireless device. You can move around your house or your apartment with that. That answers your question. Yeah, it's just part of the service agreement that I have.
I was just curious also about the sort of the contractual nature of it. Now, it's what if, because it's a part of your infrastructure topology, and I'm wondering what happens if they sell the house or something.
I usually have a 24-month service agreement with them. Some customers don't like that. If they sell the house and move, I typically would say, if you sell the house, that's not under your fault. But if you find a competitor that you want to displace me with after 6 months, I'd like to have some of that funds that I spent on you back, and that's part of the agreement.
I believe he was asking about the customer that extended your network.
Oh, the customer, yes. What I gave that, oh, sorry, thank you. What I gave him was free internet, TV, and phone for 2 years. He's happy.
Yes, sir. Great, let's get
So American.
here in the back with the mustache.
Excuse me if I missed it, I'm from North Carolina. Could you tell us what the expense of this was
The expense of what?
for services to a
What
resident?
charge?
I have a legacy service, and I have a what I call my 5th generation. And so I'll start a light package at 1.5 meg. That's a $40 package. I have advertised up to 10 megs. That's a $100 package. And then I'll customize. Because I'm small enough, I'll customize for any business customer that is out there. If they want 15 by 15, I'll do that. If they want a 10 by 5, I'll do that.
Great, yes, here.
I'd like to compliment you on putting together a very interesting panel of people that have done a great job of figuring out.
The credit goes to Jane, who did all this work.
We've all figured out different revenue models to build self-sustaining networks. The focus is not on spec spending grant money. It is building a network which you can get started with a little bit of grant money and then building an ongoing sustainable business. You've got 4 different examples, which is really, really great. I was with a company called Mortel, a big training company that taught people how to do things in the industry and how well elsewhere in the industry. And the community Wi-Fi model, which was mentioned in the last session, what we learned is that you need anchor tenants, you need some cost offsets up front, and then you need ways to utilize the network to make life better for the people in your community and elsewhere. And I'll say that, you know, Will, your green light network up there in Wilson has been great because the people outside of Wilson now get better service from CenturyLink, taking all their CAF money and building things right up 95 outside your service area between Raleigh and you that CenturyLink never would have done before. And in central North Carolina, there by the mountains out there, you know, nobody's going to build a service out there. You can't find a crooked road in that part of North Carolina to save your life. And there's not enough people there to support it, so what you've done is just a wonderful thing. And in northern New Mexico, we know that's big and wide open up there. And, you know, your immediate utility requirements, your internal use of those facilities offsets a lot of the cost and justifies the build of that network. So you've got 4 great examples. All of you have done a wonderful job, and we need more of this across the country.
Well, and cities that have municipal networks, those who don't subscribe benefit as well because of the competition and value that comes. And Chairman Wheeler, of course, made this point today here at this conference. Okay, let's take 2 more questions if we've got 2 more among our audience. Yes, Ann.
I had a question about the Facebook data center. Did they choose, is one of the reasons that they came to your community because you guys were there? Was anything related there?
I wish I could say yes. But no, their reason, obviously, Facebook needs huge pipes, and we're a tiny company. But once they were there, then we have filled a very valuable role. For example, we provide the internet access for the Facebook construction city, if you will. If you've seen one of their data centers, it's like a GM manufacturing facility. There are 600,000 servers there. So we provide internet service to the construction development at Facebook. And Facebook has been, as you can imagine, an economic development magnet because a lot of businesses have short-circuited their evaluation, their site evaluation, and put a big check mark next to Facebook is there, it must be good. And so we have served, we work very closely with the economic development folks. They're an important partner that I didn't mention on my slide. And we probably have 5 or 6 new business customers that have moved to the area. And I'm sure Facebook had a big role in that.
Great. Okay, Frank Codez, last question.
It's actually more of a comment. I wanted to mention that La Plaza was one of the first community networks on the web in Taos, New Mexico in about 1995. Charlotte had Charlotte's Web with Steve Snow, who's since passed. And that was one of the first community networks out in your area. For Ann's benefit, I think it's important to remember these grassroots champions. As important or even more important now is to acknowledge the significance of these grassroots champions and what they've done. Because there's just a great need, there's very little understanding, and speaking for my friends that ran these other networks, they did not get much social recognition. And actually the county took over Charlotte's Web, and because it wasn't a grassroots network anymore, the network fell apart as soon as the powers of control kind of preempted the grassroots. So I think there's an important history going back 20 years, others to add to your list, and also that we need to really celebrate what these people have done and grow more of them. And certainly we need more of this in Montana as well. So thank you.
Well, if you will join me in celebrating them and urging you that the exhibition hall is now open, so we'll continue our celebrations down there.
Hey guys, while you're leaving, I just want to remind you about tomorrow. We have great programs tomorrow on telehealth.